Welcome to the Deep Dive. It's Tuesday, March 3, 2026, and we are really glad you are joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for being here. We have a massive stack of sources to get through today.
We really do. Today's stack is a wild mix. We are pulling from live updates out of a major global conflict, tracking some huge tremors running through the financial markets, and breaking down these domestic political showdowns kicking off the midterms.
Right, and we're looking at some major shifts in the tech world too.
Exactly. And our mission today is to connect the dots between all these seemingly unrelated events. We want to shortcut your path to being incredibly well-informed.
Because it is a lot of ground to cover. I mean, we are synthesizing live war updates, market reports, tech hardware drops, and on-the-ground political primary coverage.
But before we jump into mapping all that out, we have to issue a mandatory disclaimer.
Yeah, very important today.
Because today's sources contain some highly politically charged content. We are covering narratives spanning both left-wing and right-wing spheres. And we want to be absolutely clear with you, we are not taking any sides here.
None at all.
We do not endorse the viewpoints of the original content. We are simply acting as impartial guides to convey the factual ideas and narratives exactly as they are laid out in the source material. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's start with the situation on the ground. The U.S.-Iran war is now in its fourth day.
Yeah, and the human cost it's tragic.
It really is. The sources confirm that 6 U.S. service members have been killed. It is a stark reality that we have to keep in mind as we discuss the fallout.
And that fallout is moving so fast. The economic ripple effects. Iran has reportedly closed the Strait of Hormuz.
Which is massive.
Right. That puts a chokehold on 31% of all seaborne crude oil.
And the shipping industry is in an absolute panic over it. The benchmark freight rate for VLCCs, those are the very large crude carriers, to ship oil to China. It's skyrocketed by 94% in one day. It hit a record $423,736 per day.
Just to charter one ship for one day? That is insane.
And that supply shock is exactly where this hits your wallet.
Yep, at the gas pump.
U.S. gas prices just saw their biggest single-day jump in 4 years. Analysts project it's going to hit $3.35 a gallon almost immediately.
And U.S. markets are reeling. The Dow plummeted over 1,000 points.
And it's not just financial. The disruption is physical. Over 18,000 flights canceled globally. Even our tech infrastructure is taking physical hits.
Right. Amazon Web Services reported that 3 of their data centers in the UAE and Bahrain were actually physically damaged by drone strikes.
But while the physical reality is clear, the political narrative is, well, it's confusing. The messaging from the Trump administration has whipsawed.
It really has shifted rapidly. First, the objective was to stop an imminent threat. Then we heard calls for regime change. Then it was about preventing nuclear capability. And now it sounds like they are trying to sync with Israel's timeline.
What's fascinating here is the analysis from military expert Mark Kansian. He theorizes that the U.S. and Israel might actually be pursuing totally different endgames.
How so?
Well, the U.S. might be heavily focused on disarmament, taking out the nuclear programs, but Israel might be pushing for complete regime change.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and if those goals diverge, it severely complicates how this war actually ends.
That is a massive geopolitical knot. And speaking of complications, the digital front of this war is just as tense. J.P. Morgan's Jamie Dimon warned that U.S. banks are bracing for Iranian cyber attacks. He called it one of the highest risks banks bear right now.
And the terrifying irony here is that the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency's CISA is currently crippled.
By the partial government shutdown.
Exactly. The agency meant to protect us hasn't updated its website since February 17th.
And the internal turmoil there is just jaw-dropping. The temporary director of CISA, Madhu Gautamukala, was just reassigned.
You cannot make this up.
He reportedly uploaded sensitive documents to ChatGPT.
Right.
And then he failed a polygraph test administered by his own staff.
Right. As a wave of nation-state cyber attacks is expected. But it highlights how AI is becoming fundamentally entangled in all this. AI is actively being deployed on the front lines.
Wait, let me get this straight, though. The sources show a glaring contradiction here. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth officially blacklisted the AI company Anthropic as a national security risk just days ago.
Right.
But Anthropic's AI models are currently being used to support U.S. military operations in Iran.
Because these advanced AI models have become entirely indispensable, the military relies on them for logistics and targeting. Uncoupling that tech during an active conflict is nearly impossible.
Even when the politics dictate otherwise.
Exactly. And it's causing massive pushback. Alphabet employees are protesting Google bringing its Gemini AI into classified Pentagon environments. They want the same ethical red lines Anthropic tried to hold.
And this AI arms race isn't just happening in military server rooms. It is hitting the global supply chain.
Yeah.
Say you need a new computer today, and you go to look at Apple's newly announced MacBooks.
The new M5 chips.
Right, their biggest Mac refresh in a year. Here's where it gets really interesting. These new laptops are significantly more expensive.
Yeah, price jumps.
The 13-inch Air starts at $1,099. That's up $100. And the 16-inch M5 Max Pro is a whopping $3,899, up $400.
And the reason for that hike connects directly back to the AI boom. Memory suppliers are favoring the lucrative AI data centers over consumer hardware.
Which drives up component cost.
Exactly. Apple's justification for the price tag is local AI performance. They claim it processes large language models up to 8 times faster than the M1 chips. The pitch is to keep your sensitive data off the cloud and run AI locally.
To avoid those exact cyber risks we just talked about. Though the rumor mill says a lower-cost MacBook might be coming to capture Windows switchers who are priced out.
It makes sense, but that same financial anxiety around AI is showing up on Wall Street, too. Look at Blackstone's massive $82 billion private credit fund, BCRD.
They just hit a major stumble. Investors suddenly pulled 7.9% of their money.
Huge redemptions.
It forced Blackstone to inject $150 million of its own cash, and their stock dropped 8.5%.
Blackstone President John Gray blames market noise and the spin cycle. But if you look closer, 25% of BCRE is exposed to software loans.
And that's the anxiety. Will the AI revolution disrupt these traditional software companies? If an AI...
It leaves all that private credit incredibly vulnerable.
So AI is driving up your laptop price and making Wall Street panic. And speaking of financial panics, we have to look at the betting markets. Former Trump Chief of Staff, Mick Mulvaney, has a new crusade against prediction markets like Kalshi and Polymarket.
He is calling it straight-up gambling. He wants state regulation, not federal CFTC oversight.
But his argument is really about national security. He points to the massive bets being placed on the Iran war. What happens if adversaries use these markets to glean U.S. military plans?
It's a completely new vector for risk.
A huge one. And speaking of high-stakes outcomes, let's pivot to domestic politics. Today, March 3rd, is the kickoff for the 2026 midterms. Primary day in Texas, North Carolina, and Arkansas.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, today isn't about Republicans versus Democrats. It is about the civil wars happening within the parties themselves.
Let's break that down. In the Texas Senate Republican primary, you have establishment-backed incumbent John Cornyn facing Ken Paxton,
who has the Medjie backing. And Paxton is leading the polls despite severe legal and corruption scandals.
Plus, you have Wesley Hunt in that mix. And the Democratic side of that Texas Senate race is just as fractured. Jasmine Crockett, the fiery progressive, against James Tallarico, the measured moderate who delivers speeches like sermons.
That race will completely dictate the Democratic strategy for 2028.
And the House races are fierce. Texas 2nd District GOP, Dan Crenshaw backed Ukraine aid, but has no Trump endorsement. He's facing Freedom Caucus-backed Steve Tuff.
In North Carolina's 4th District, Democrat incumbent Valerie Fishee is up against Nita Allam. Allam is backed by Bernie Sanders, and this race is a massive flashpoint over AIPAC and Israel policy.
Then you have Texas's 23rd District GOP, incumbent Tony Gonzalez fighting for his political life against Brandon Herrera. And this is all happening under the shadow of a tragic scandal involving texts to a staffer who died by suicide.
Meanwhile, in Washington, the Epstein files fallout continues. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick is volunteering to testify behind closed doors to the House Oversight Committee.
Right. He's facing a subpoena from Representative Nancy Mace regarding his 2012 visit to Jeffrey Epstein's island.
And the Trump administration is fiercely defending him, calling him a critical asset for trade deals.
So what does this all mean?
It means everything is connected. Global conflicts inflate oil prices and disrupt data centers. The AI boom drives up the cost of a new MacBook while shaking up Wall Street private credit. And internal political fractures are shaping the midterms right in the middle of it all.
And none of this is abstract for you, the listener. These events are actively shaping the price of gas in your car, the security of your bank data, the cost of your next laptop, and the actual future of your government.
It is a deeply interconnected system.
Which brings us to a final thought for you to mull over today. If prediction markets are incentivizing people to bet on global conflicts, and AI is dictating hardware prices while simultaneously running military operations, are we moving toward a world where algorithms and betting markets don't just predict our geopolitical reality, but actually start driving it?
It's a heavy question.
It really is. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We will be back soon to unpack the next stack of sources. Stay curious.